Okay, so here comes the spoiler review for Wreck-It Ralph. That's your spoiler warning, everybody, so you better, have watched the movie or at least don't care about spoilers to watch this video. Alright, so let's go through this in my head, okay? So the film starts off real well. It's Vanellope and Ralph. They're hanging out after, they finish their gaming. And they're going to other games and having a real cool time. And it's been 6 years since the events of the first movie, which you find out later on in the movie it's been 6 years. And Vanellope is basically at this point where she's like, I'm bored of all the tracks in my race. So just as the arcade's about to open, Ralph is like, oh, I've got an idea then. I'm going to go into her game, I'm going to create a new track while she's racing, and get her to go on that track, and like she'll take. Right, this didn't make any sense to me. Here's my first glaring flaw with this movie. Ralph isn't there in the morning when the arcade is open. So he did that in the first film and they nearly got shut down. He should be. Why is he not doing his job? And they really contradict everything they did in the first movie throughout this film. So he goes into Vanellope's game while the arcade's open, while people are playing the game. And while this girl is having a fun time playing as Vanellope, because she's the only one apparently everyone picks, and Vanellope's winning every game because of that, Ralph makes a side track for her to go down and have like a race. So she takes control. And this is another thing I don't get. Why is she winning every game if everyone's controlling her? Is her glitch power just that good? Maybe don't use your glitch power if you don't want to win every time. Alright, so she goes off the track, taking control of the thing, so the player doesn't have control anymore, and the player's like, what's going on? Then eventually, it leads to the point where the player accidentally breaks off the part on the arcade machine where you drive. And the player's like, oh no. Goes to the manager and is like, I accidentally knocked this off. And he's like, oh, well, I can't get a repair for that. They're apparently not manufactured anymore, which you got that arcade game brand new 6 years ago. I don't know how long I don't know much about arcade games, but I swear to God, they're supposed to last more than like there's still House of the Dead games from when I was a kid around. Like how is this really popular game? It's the most popular in your arcade, and you brought it in. How is it not still being manufactured after just 6 years? Like, it's just been 6 years, man. It's not been like a decade. It's not been like it's not been that long. 6 years. I don't see how you could not have. But that's fine. That's fine. Fine. It's got to have the plot for the story. You got to have the plot. I get that. Okay. So they find it on eBay. Some kids do, and they do this show, which is funny, where he's like, you guys are never going to find it on there, and you know they're going to find it because you can find anything on the internet. They only find one in stock, though, which is interesting, because honestly, I think you'd find a lot more than just one. But it's $200, so the man can't afford it. He's like, this game don't make $200 in a year, which... Wow, okay, don't make $200 in a year. Apparently it was your most popular game 6 years ago. So how is it not your most popular now? Like, okay, it wouldn't like be as good from 6 years, but I still don't understand how it wouldn't be making 200 a year. Surely it makes more than 200 in a year. I don't know much about arcades, but surely the cost of running it for a year is more than 200. So it must make more than 200, otherwise what's the point of keeping it up? Alright, but still, I digress. Those are small nitpicks, and they're not the reason why I dislike this movie. Okay? I'm just kind of going on a bit of a rant. So, Ralph hears this. Vanellope is peed off. She decides to go, because what happens is the game's going to be shut down. He unplugs the game, but luckily everyone gets out in time, and they start rehousing all the people. But Vanellope's obviously very sad, and kind of mad at Ralph. No, she's not mad at Ralph, but she's kind of like wanting to be alone. So she leaves Ralph, and Ralph's like, oh, okay, Ralph is lonely. Okay? So Ralph goes to this place to have a few drinks, and then he remembers eBay. And, he decides Oh, sorry, the internet's been plugged in at this point, so sorry about that. I forgot to mention that, but that's something everyone knows from the trailer. So they decide to go onto the internet and try and find the part. And while this is going on, there's just a little side plot. It's not very side plot. It's only 2 scenes, but Fix-It Felix Jr. and his wife, I forget her name, but the cool chick, the one with the Cybo backstory. They have 2 scenes in this movie, pretty much 2 major scenes. But basically, all the kids from the Candy Crush game have to be rehoused. And they adopt them all, is what happens. And they're obviously terrible. They're terrible. Well, they have one scene where they act up, and then they're like, oh no, what are we going to do? And then, next time we see them at the very end of the film, they're all good. They're like real nice kids, and they've raised them proper. After just a couple hours, well, 24 hours, which is another thing I'll get into. Right, so Ralph and Vanellope go onto the internet and try and find eBay. They find eBay, they find the thing, and they end up doing this little joke where they bid too much on it, which is not how eBay works, but fine. I have to stop nitpicking, I get that, I'm not. Those aren't the reasons why I dislike the movie. I've got to keep saying that, but I will nitpick because that's just what I do. So they find the part, bid too much on it, so they've got to make a lot of money in 24 hours, otherwise their bid's going to go. One more, this is something that annoys me. They got 24 hours, and they used that entire 24 hours. The whole plot of the first movie, Ralph, like, nearly had the place shut down. Because he wasn't there. Now apparently, Ralph can just not be there for 24 hours, and everything will be alright. Everything's gonna be okay. Whole point of the first movie, gone. And apparently Felix, their excuse for that is Felix said, I'll cover you. But if Felix could cover him, why didn't he do it in the first movie? And that is a real complaint. That's not a nitpick. That's a real complaint there. That's a massive glaring plot hole. And they do it throughout the movie. They contradict everything that was in the first movie. Right, so they need to make a bunch of money fast. So they find this pop-up ad. They click on the pop-up ad, which, not a very good thing to teach kids. They make pop-up ads seem nice, they click on it and they nearly make 40 grand. They nearly make 40 grand from clicking on a pop-up ad. So you're essentially telling kids you can make 40 grand clicking on a pop-up ad. I hate to use the term think of the children, but and that, once again, that is a nitpick, I can't deny, but come on, that's also weird that you would make pop-up ads look cool. And they've also got the whole emoji movie thing deal, with the internet, Twitter is just a bunch of birds tweeting, going tweet a tweet, and then a tweet shows up. Very funny. But right, so moving on. They go to this game. I can't remember what it's called. I was so bored around the movie. Screaming something, I'm pretty sure. It's like Grand Theft Auto, but like a racing game. And they're trying to steal a car in it because they can sell that car to someone else for 40,000 because someone really likes that in-game loot. And Vanellope ends up, they end up nicking the car, stealing it, and trying to get away with it with Vanellope in the car, and she really loves it because it's different, and this is going to come up later, so you better remember that. Oh, yep. So they don't get the car in the end, though. They end up getting stopped, and they get told you can make a load of money by going viral, like YouTube. Although it's not YouTube, it's like BuzzTube or something. They make up some weird thing. So Ralph starts making viral videos. What happens? That's how they're going to make the money for it. And the viral videos are really forced. They're just, I'm sure some of them were funny. There was a B one that was really funny. But the Bob Ross one, done before. We saw Deadpool do it. And that is another big complaint of this movie. Every single joke has been done better. Every single parody on the internet been done better. Everything about this movie, every joke, done better in other movies. Okay? And the majority of them just aren't funny. There's, he does the whole screaming, where he puts his face on the goat, like a screaming goat. Remember that viral video? And goes, but it's not, it's the goat going, but it's just Ralph's face on it. It's like, that would not go viral. All these videos that he does, you just think to yourself, that would not go viral. And then what happens? They make enough money to pay for it in the end. 31,000, I'm pretty sure it was. You can't make that in 24 hours. Are you kidding me? Can you? Can you honestly start up a YouTube channel and instantly get that much? Can we look at the statistics here, please? Because Jesus, you must be really like putting out that many videos within 24 hours. People get annoyed at you and like give you so many dislikes for spamming them. But I guess maybe you might be able to. But I sure as hell don't think that's possible. So there is another funny scene where Ralph sees the comment section, but they're not like, they're just kind of like the most basic bad comments, like the most white bread of comments, the most least insulting of comments you'd ever see. Like Ralph is a bad guy. Ralph is a very naughty person. Ralph is a doo-doo head. They're not like the insults you'd actually get on a YouTube comment section. So so while this is going on, Vanellope has gone off and has helped Ralph get clipped by being like a pop-up ad herself. And she goes to Disneyland, well, internet's version of Disneyland, and she meets up with princesses. And this is literally when the movie went from here to it just dropped for me. People really love the Disney princess thing to me, but like, here's the thing, like, the only joke I can really remember was them like saying, "Does everyone think that all your problems were solved because a big strong man showed up?" And he's like, "Yeah, what's with that?" And it's like, Disney, you're really, really, really giving yourself a massive pat on the back, are you? You're really gonna try and tell me that Snow White didn't just have a guy come in and save her? You know, like, this joke coming from anyone else would have been fine. But when Disney tries to say that their characters were not, like, damsels in distress, they were strong, independent women. All of them. Like Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, they were all strong, independent women that didn't need no man. It's essentially Disney trying to give itself a pass for, like, its tropes. It's character cliches. It's them trying to say, oh no, they were never character cliches. They were always strong, independent women. Some of them were, by all accounts. Mulan, she was good. The character from Brave, she was great. Although I don't think that even applies to her at all, because no one thought her problems were solved because a big, strong man showed up. So, and in Vanellope's case, I hate to be that person, but her problems were kind of solved because of Ralph. She never would have got that car if it wasn't for Ralph. So the joke didn't really make me laugh. The joke didn't make sense when you thought about it. And if a joke doesn't even make a slight bit of sense, it's not a good joke. It's just not. It really felt forced, especially coming from Disney. Everything about this movie just feels so forced and in your face. Like, we know what modern day is. We know what the lingo is. We know what the cool kids want. We're hip. We're cool. We know the Facebook and the memes. That's what you call them, innit? Just like, and then they come back later on, which, So what happens, right? Okay, they do this whole thing where they tell, okay, this did make me laugh. They basically tell Vanellope that she needs to look into some water and sing to find out what her dreams are. And once I thought about that, I was like, yeah, Disney princesses do that a lot, weirdly enough. So what happens, Ralph makes enough money to get the part, and then they move straight on to Vanellope singing to some water, and it turns out she really wants to go to that game, which was like Grand Theft Auto. She wants to live there. She wants to go turbo. You remember the guy in the first movie, the bad guy, the evil guy that did a horrible thing, he went turbo? Yeah, she wants to do that. And it's treated as a cool thing. It's treated as like something you should be okay with her doing. What? Just what? You're seriously like doing that? Just, am I the only person that sees the problem here? And not only that, right? She, like, for all she knows, they will see that her character is not in the game, in Sugar Rush, and they will, like, delete her from the game. Well, they will, like, see the game's broken and get rid of, like, Sugar Rush. But her excuse for that is, oh, I'm one of 14, she said. But I'm pretty sure she said 14, but there's not that many fighters. There's like 6 or 9 at most. She's like, oh, they won't miss me. You're the most popular character in Sugar Rush. Everyone plays as you. You apparently win every single race. So that means the majority of the time they must be playing as you. There is no way, Jose, are they not going to notice They're gonna notice. They're gonna notice. And the game's gonna get shut down. You're condemning all your friends to have their home destroyed. Well, I guess you're not, because apparently no one noticed that Vanellope, their favorite character, was gone. It just didn't make sense. That's a massive plot hole. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you don't believe that's a plot hole, but it is. It is. She was essentially condemning her friends on a, sure, they may not have, but there was a chance. So she was willing to take the chance of having all her friends be homeless so that she could do another race. Essentially, because she was bored. Okay? I get bored sometimes. Doesn't mean I'm going to go make all my friends homeless. Okay? Vanellope, just this sudden character development, just to me, was awful. It was a douchebag move on Vanellope's part. And then Ralph obviously said, "Hold my beer," and decides to get this virus that he tries to use to take out the game because he doesn't want Vanellope to go, and he overheard their conversation because he called her on a Skype thing, but he was muted. So Vanellope didn't know he's calling, and just, blah. But he decides to unleash a virus onto them. They go to the dark web, and the dark web's nothing like the dark web. It's just as white, once again, it's as white bread as you can get. Because Disney can't do dark web. I don't know why they even bother doing the dark web. But yeah, he goes and gets a virus, and the virus, it failed. Well, it nearly destroys the game that they're in, nearly destroys Vanellope, but they managed to get out. Ralph tells her that he did that, and he's sorry, and she's like, "Get away from me, you horrible person." Which once was the scene from the first movie where he wrecked the car. They were trying to do that. It just didn't feel right. It just was forced once again. This movie's forced, is my biggest problem with it. So then the virus, which finds insecurities on the internet and duplicates them, which is just a bad joke. Manages to escape the game after pretty much destroying it. Sees Ralph and realizes he's 100% insecure. 100%, so he's just all insecurities. No, he's not. He's other things. And so then it copies him, and there's like a whole bunch of Wreck-It Ralphs going around trying to find Vanellope, who are like zombies. And then they end up making one big, massive Ralph. Like the Matrix, Path of Neo game, or some other thing. I'm sure it's been done a million times, whatever it is, but every movie that's done it has been terrible. Good idea. And there's this whole like boss thing, like it's essentially a boss fight from like and they end up being in the end. Well, Ralph ends up talking to it and saying, "You can't be insecure, you gotta let your friends go." And he accepts that and lets her go to the video game to live for the rest of her life. The very violent Grand Theft Auto video game. And I know what you might be thinking if you haven't watched the movie yet. You're probably thinking, well, hold on, they die if they're outside their game. So how's that going to work, man? She could die. This game's very violent. People die in it. Oh no, they sorted that out. They just, changed the coding of the game, like King Turbo did. They just changed the coding. Because the person who made the game and is updating the game isn't going to notice that, is he? He's not going to notice all of a sudden in his very serious game, with very serious looking characters, very like Grand Theft Auto looking characters, all of a sudden there's some candy girl going around in her car. Yeah, I'm sure he won't notice that and end up deleting her. Doesn't make sense. None of this movie makes sense. And it's also, the moral of the first movie is sometimes it's okay to be where you are. Like, the moral of the first movie is this is the opposite. This is the complete opposite of it. It's basically saying abandon your friends and just go. Go where you want to go. Never mind the consequences, just go. Have fun, you should accept that. Your friends should accept the fact that you might make everyone you know homeless just because you're kind of bored with your life and you want to go do some more racing game. You want to go do some more tracks. Why don't you just... You've got the internet. Why don't you just go back to your own game, not risk them all being unplugged, go online every now and then and play like a racing game. Where you probably won't die. But no, you've seen this like place for like 5 minutes, so now you won't live there. Oy. So it ends with Ralph and Vanellope. They very rarely see each other. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty unsatisfying. Very unsatisfying. Forced and unsatisfying. Oh, and the Disney princesses save Ralph at the very end. For no apparent reason. They just see him and are like, "Oh man, a big strong man in distress? Better save him, because, we want to look like strong, independent women." But once again, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the message. I'm fine with a feminist message in your movie. Just don't have it be Disney princesses that do it, because we all know those Disney princesses were tropes. They were all like, not all of them, but Snow White was a trope. She was a damsel in distress all the way. So stop trying to push it as if she wasn't, Disney. You know that you did that stuff. Stop trying to ignore it and just give yourself a pass for it. Okay, you did it, accept it. Stop trying to do it through this movie. Stop trying to act like they're like all strong, independent women in this movie. Like Shrek did it first, and Shrek did it better because unlike Shrek, you don't have the right to say that. Okay, you really don't, Disney. Okay, so they save him. Then they say they saved him because he was Vanellope's friend, but they didn't know. They were never told about him, and they never knew what he looked like. So I don't get that either. But I'm trying to think. Is there anything else that I've missed? I don't think so. Yeah, I would say I'm pretty much done. Although, once again, there's a scene. The scene where the girl from Brave, talks and they don't understand her, and they go, "She's from the other studio." I found that kind of weird. I found that kind of odd. That like, doesn't that feel a bit, thing that they're saying? "Oh no, look, she's from the other studio. Don't worry about her. No one can understand her." Like, imagine if the girl from Brave was like Indian and spoke Indian, and they went, "Oh, she's from the other studio." Imagine. Wait. So, and this is another thing I don't get. The girl in Brave, and this is once again another nitpick, but the girl in Brave spoke perfectly clean English. You could understand her perfectly. So why does she all of a sudden have the thickest Scottish accent known to man in this film? I mean, it's not like Mulan speaks Chinese. It's not like the Little Mermaid speaks Mer people, or whatever their language is. So why does she all of a sudden have a thick accent for no apparent reason? Just really confused me. And the joke where she's from the other studio, yeah, it's funny, but it also comes across a bit like you just gave yourself a massive pat on the back. You've just been like, "Oh yeah, we're saying these women who were saved by men that we made into a massive trope. We made these damsels in distress. Now we're gonna pretend like we never did that. We always had strong, independent women. Snow White is the strongest, man. She got to knock those men out. She can save, man. I'm fine with the message. But Jesus, Disney, you can't do that. You cannot use your Disney princesses that were literally massive cliches in the past to do that message. Come on." It really annoys me. And I feel like everyone's going to be annoyed by this review and absolutely hate me. But I'm sorry, guys. I just didn't like this movie. And I feel like now that the internet's involved, the third one's just going to be about the internet again. I wish they had saved this for the third one. I wish they'd made a second one involving them going to more video games first. And then made the third one about the internet. Because then, at least by then, I'd have two wonderful movies. And I could enjoy those two. I could just pretend the third one didn't exist. Oh, okay, well, I hope some of you agreed with me. If you didn't agree with me, please just understand these are my thoughts. If you like the movie, it's perfectly okay. I don't get it, but these are just opinions at the end of the day. So don't take them too seriously. All right, take care, guys. Feel free to like, feel free to comment, and feel free to subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.